Hi, everybody. I appreciate you joining me today. Today, I have Joseph Ingram again. He's a divorce attorney out of Birmingham, Alabama. And go ahead and tell them what we want to talk about. I want to talk about these multiple party divorces. So you can tell them what it is that people need to know and kind of maybe help them walk them through this. So go ahead, Joseph Ingram. Thanks.
Hey, Kent, good to be with you.
Thank you.
What I want to talk about today briefly was in a divorce, most people think that you have a husband and a wife, one suing the other for a divorce. And during the course of my practice over the last 12 years, I've had the opportunity to be involved in a couple of high asset divorce cases in which maybe one party has a business and you actually sue the business as a party defendant in the divorce to get complete relief for the other spouse. And typically what you may see is where the husband owns a business and the wife has been primarily the home keeper and raised the children for 10 or plus years in a marriage. And so the husband will try to hide behind the business and say that he doesn't have any assets, that he's just an employee of the business. And so what you do is you sue the business as a party defendant to get complete relief for the wife out of the divorce.
Oh, okay. So how do you do that? Do you just join them to an action that's already ongoing, or do you have to have a separate action against the business?
No, typically what you do is you would join them as a party defendant. You would amend the complaint and you would serve the defendant just like you would anybody when you sue someone. And sometimes they'll fight it, but the case law in Alabama is pretty standard and straightforward. Most of the judges that I've dealt with in Alabama recognize the business as a party defendant and will make them a party to the case. And so then what you have to do is it becomes a matter of battling experts. You may have to take a CPA testimony. You may have to hire a CPA to do a forensic examination of the business finances to determine the full value of that business so that the other spouse may have an opportunity for full relief out of a divorce decree.
Okay, so how does that work when you work together, you own a business, you built the business as a married couple? How do you determine how that asset is being separated between the two people when they want to separate?
Well, generally, there would be some type of operating agreement, maybe articles of incorporation to determine what the percentages are of who owns what percentage of the business. Absent of some type of operating agreement, it's presumed that the parties, if they're husband and wife and they owned, let's just say they owned a landscape business together, it would be presumed that they'd be 50-50 equity partners. Sometimes it might be the case. I had a case about 2 years ago where a couple owned a medical billing company. And so what they had to do was one party had to buy out the other party out of the divorce. If they didn't, they were going to destroy the business because they couldn't work together anymore. So it was mutually agreeable that the husband bought out the wife's interest in the business.
Okay, and if
just like you would have a house to sell, and maybe one person buys the other party out during a divorce agreement, you would treat the business just like an asset to the marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, is this always the case? It seems to me like whenever people are in business that they would have this issue every time they had a divorce. Is that usually happen the way it works, or do people come to some sort of an agreement on their own as far as how they're going to separate the business, or if they want to keep the business going or liquidate it, or how does it generally play out, do you think?
Well, every case is individualistic, and I think it depends on how agreeable the parties are during a divorce. I always tell people in a divorce, you can control the outcome. In other words, if you reach an agreement, you determine what happens to your case. if you send it to a judge, you may not like the outcome. Also, you have to look at the goodwill of the company. Do you want to destroy the income of the company during the divorce? We all see these movies and shows about really nasty divorces. And what you hope, fortunately, is that someone will come to their senses and realize that we don't want to kill the entity that provides income for us just because we can't stay married anymore. That's what you try to hope will happen. But that doesn't always happen in every case. And, you know, when there's allegations of adultery or affairs or things like that, you know, people have real lives and emotions. And if they've been invested in a marriage, they may want justice. And a lot of times justice is personal, if you understand what I'm saying, as opposed to in a courtroom.
Yeah, what's the old saying? There's no wrath like that of a scorned woman, or something like that.
I always say it, hell hath no fury like a scorned woman. Yeah.
There you go. That's better said. Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Well, like you said before, when I've talked to you about divorce, it's not a happy situation. So what you want to do is you want to try to make it so it's, you know, as easy as possible for both parties, and also for, you know, the outcome too. So everybody has at least has some feelings of you know, not complete destroying each other or their assets or their business or whatever lives they've had at that point to that point. So
that's true. And you know, there's a new thing we have in Alabama that they have in a lot of states, probably about 23 states now. It's called a collaborative divorce. And we'll talk a little bit about that more another day. But that's sort of like a mediation process where parties agree to sit down and resolve their own issues outside of a litigation hostile proceeding. But we'll talk a little bit about a collaborative divorce another day. But I really want to talk about that today because I'm seeing this issue more and more in cases when parties own a business. And it's really good information for people to have at their disposal to understand.
Yeah, one final question before we talk a little bit about you. Does it matter how the business is set up, if it's an LLC or if it's a corporation or if it's a sole proprietor? Does any of that play out as far as this is concerned?
Well, generally what you're talking about is a business entity. It can be an LLC. It can be an LLP. You could have a group of doctors, and one of the doctors may be getting a divorce, and you could sue the actual partnership of the doctors because he may receive, if there's 4 of them, he might receive a 25% interest of the profits. So you could actually sue the doctor's business. Typically, you don't see it when it's a Schedule C sole proprietor of a business because they file their income under a Schedule C. But generally what you see is a business type entity where they file a completely separate tax return from the parties' joint tax return. And so where one spouse is trying to hide assets is what you're trying to get at. And it always comes down to having an expert CPA testimony or some type of forensic accounting to look at the books and tell you that our business entity is.
Okay, very good. Now, so I know you're in Birmingham, Alabama. I know you're a divorce attorney. Is there any other cases that you handle? Any other kind of law that you practice besides divorce law?
We do family law. We do criminal defense, and we handle workers' compensation claims. And we've been doing that for 12 years in Alabama exclusively. So
okay.
We enjoy helping people, and we always take free consultations. So.
And I think I got your website right here, so we can take a look at that. That's joeingramlaw.com. And it looks like you also got a blog here, which is alabama.litigationlawyer.com too, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Well, how's the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they have a problem in this area and they need some relief and somebody that really knows it, the ins and outs, and can help them out? How do I get a hold of you?
They can call our number on the website, or they can go to joeingramlaw.com and send us an email, and we'll get in touch with them.
Very good. Okay, well, Joe, I appreciate your time. Hopefully we'll do this again sometime, and I'm sure people really benefited from this information, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. I always enjoyed visiting with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Same here. Thank you, John.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.